Hello, everyone.
Hello.
And can you see my screen, I hope?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. I guess go
So
ahead
it
and
is,
start
yeah,
it just because we're mindful of everyone's time. So welcome to our our 2025-2026 grant applicant information session. Today we will be giving a little bit of background. I'm sure you're all familiar with the Community Foundation, but if there'll be a little background, we'll give you the list of the awardees for last year's Impact NWGA grant. We'll discuss the grant details. We'll touch on the application portal and what that application looks like. We'll also discuss some post-award items such as reports and grant agreement. And then we'll talk about a new pilot program we have this year for a multi-year grant opportunity. And then we'll just give out some general info, grant dates, etc., and we'll have time for questions. And I've added question time at the end, but please, if you have a question, please just put it in the chat, and Laura's going to be managing that. And then we'll answer questions as we go along.
just just a note on that. If there is a question at the time of a particular thing, you can raise your hand as well. And we can call on you. Otherwise, we want you muted just to reduce the sound. This is being recorded, so if there are questions that you want to come back to, or you didn't hear something clearly, or you had to run out of the room to go to the bathroom or answer the door, that's fine. It will be available probably tomorrow, if not by Friday, on our website. But you can also put your questions in the chat. I will answer them individually or for everyone. Thank you, Ruth.
Absolutely. So the Community Foundation was established in 1995 with the sale of the hospital, as many of you know, of the South Lake Community Hospital. And a portion of the proceeds from that sale were used to establish the Community Foundation. This is not a private foundation. So just a little bit about community foundations. They are tax exempt nonprofit, autonomous, non-sectarian philanthropic institutions. Is a lot of info supported by the public. And so they have some goals, and those are building some permanent funds and supporting charities that benefit the community that the foundation serves. And they serve as leaders in the community on important issues. The Community Foundation of South Lake is dedicated to serving our community through connecting resources and intentional philanthropic giving. By, investing in our local nonprofits is vital to making a difference in the South Lake community. And over the past 30 years, they've provided more than 14 million in grants and scholarships. And I will point out scholarships as well, because sometimes people forget that we also provide scholarships. And just quickly, some types of funds that we have at the foundation are donor advised, charitable organization, discretionary, designated funds, scholarships, and field of interest. So, for example, our Women's Giving Alliance is a field of interest fund, and our impact grant is from our unrestricted or discretionary fund. These are the awardees from last year. Um, And so just to give you some information on them. And it's always great to reach out and collaborate or get some information from them as well on their experience. The Women's Giving Alliance, the mission of the Women's Giving Alliance, or as the WGA as we all refer to it, is to inspire women to be strategic philanthropists and to improve the lives of women and children in South Lake County. And they invest in nonprofit organizations. So they invest in nonprofit organizations that are making a difference in the lives of women and children in our community. And they awarded the Stuckey Community Improvement Group and Building Blocks last year. So today we're going to talk about as I said, we have a lot of funds, different funds, but today we're going to learn about um, the foundation's impact grant and the WGA grant, and I will refer to it as the WGA instead of the Women's Giving Alliance. Um, these grants will use the online application portal, the Foundant, if you're familiar with that, Foundant GLM portal. And the applications are very similar. There are a few differences, and yes, each grant has its own application. And so you can always do some cutting and pasting. You may apply for both grants if you meet the requirements of each. So yes, you can apply for both, but you have to fill out two separate applications. So the impact grant, the focus areas are basic needs, education, health, and wellness. And basic needs are housing, food, for organizations that help with housing, food insecurity, etc. The WGA grant, um, they don't have a specific focus as education or wellness, but um, the nonprofits applying must demonstrate systemic change and to improve how women and children are served in our community. They have to implement creative and innovative solutions to critical needs and have a measurable impact in Southlake County. We also have some
Hey,
geographic requirements.
Ruth, can I stop you for a quick
Sure,
second?
sure.
And I just want to stop on the one point around measurable impact. And I think hopefully I'm looking at who's online. Most of you guys understand this, but I'm saying it for the recording is to be very clear on what that measurable impact is. And it's not necessarily the measurable, kind of tick marks, but how many people actually were elevated to the next level of service? Did you move people out of poverty? Really critical questions and figure out what that means for your organization. If you have questions, feel free to reach out and we can have a conversation about it. But it has to be a measurable impact. And I think that's where some organizations have gotten stuck. So I just felt like I wanted to kind of point that out there, make sure that everybody understands. If people don't, feel free to reach out and ask questions. Thank you, Ruth.
Sure. So as I said, we have a geographic area. So this funding has to serve residents of the former Southlake County Tax District. So that includes the following cities and as well as unincorporated areas. So in the application, we have information on the instructions page. We list out the zip codes. So you can see the zip codes that are the priority for these grants. Now, that doesn't mean if your organization is based outside of the South Lake County area that you can't apply. You can apply, but you have to, we'll be asking those organizations, as we ask everyone else, you have to provide data on the number of South Lake residents that are served by your organization. And there's a specific question if your organization is not based in the South Lake area, but you can still apply for a grant. We also have some just minimum requirements that you'll be asked about. Are you recognized by the IRS as a 501(c)(3)? And remember, everybody, today's tax day. I hope you filed your taxes. Um, to have an employer identification number, to have 3 years of program data available, and an annual budget of 3 million or less. We also ask for financial statements or a 990 that must be provided for the previous fiscal year with your application. And also to able to collect and report data, track funding utilization, and report impact of funding. So I think sometimes that's the piece that Laura was talking about, that being able to report on data and track data. Um, So this year we have something new. We'll be asking applicants to have some organizational policies in place. And I'll list those out in a minute. So, um, organizations we are asking to have or be actively developing um, the following board selection criteria, board term limits, conflict of interest policy, directors and officers insurance policy, document retention policy, fundraising plans, management succession plans, strategic plans, whistleblower policy, and then written organizational policies and procedures. It so we took survey of a lot of the nonprofits in the area, and our survey indicated that local organizations had most or all of these policies in place, or were at least developing them. And so next year we will require for those to be in place, but this year we are asking whether or not you have those policies or you're developing them. Any questions so far? So evaluation. Applications will be evaluated on community needs and project impact, project outcomes and goals, project sustainability, project budget and financial stability, staff capacity, and collaboration. So we want to make sure that the organization, people have asked me about the staff capacity, that you have resources to complete the reports for when you're applying for these grants, um, that you are clearly stating what the need is for your project. Sometimes I think we look at applications and we know that there's a need in, but really we need things to be clear. So if you can give a good, clear explanation, if you can provide some good data, and then the budget and a budget narrative, make sure that the budget you're presenting also matches the budget narrative that, that those match. And if you're collaborating with an organization, please tell us who it is. So, sometimes people put, we will be collaborating with, two or three organizations. That's wonderful. I think that's great. But your application we will be more impactful if you tell us who those organizations are. Um, and so that's some of the things that are really important to focus on and to provide some, some good, clear explanation and data. Laura, do you want to say anything about this?
Um, Sorry, I was answering some questions. There's a couple of things that I'm going to come back to the evaluation. I just want to make some clarifying questions. If you can go back, maybe one or two slides, if you can go back one more. Okay, right here. Oh, you can leave it on that one. So there's a couple of questions here. First, I'm going to address the annual budget. This is something that we implemented last year. And correct me if I'm wrong, Rue.
No, that's true.
What we found and what our board found was in order to really have a meaningful impact with organizations, they were looking at the smaller funding organizations. We have met with LiveWell and we discussed it with them. What we're focusing on are some of those smaller organizations. And the question is it 3 million or 3 million or less? Is that the program budget or is it the whole organization? It's the whole organization. Now, I know that some of the organizations on the call, your budget is much larger than that. I think at this time, it is something that we're feeling pretty strong about. That doesn't mean at future times we are going to reevaluate this and maybe even look at different types of funding for those larger organizations. But right now, we're really focusing on those smaller organizations that are under the 3 million mark. We have our sister organization that does much larger funding. So I would encourage those organizations at or above 3 million is to really work with the LiveWell organization, because what we're funding is typically out of the scope of LiveWell. Okay. So then there was a second question about, if you can go to the next slide, please.
This one?
The 990s.
Right.
So, yes, a variety of different 990s are acceptable.
Yes.
And if there is a faith-based organization on the call, and you may tell me, well, we don't file those and we don't have audited financials, we need some type of third-party verification that you are spending the funds the way that they were intended. It is not to be a hurdle, but we have to do our due diligence as an organization. So that would warrant maybe a phone call to us. You can't just say, hey, here's my budget, fund me. We need some accountability, just as we're accountable to the, you need to be accountable to us and the community's funds. So that's a conversation that we need to have. You don't have to have the full 990. If it's a 990 N or something else, that's fine. We understand that there's different sizes of organizations. We don't want to put that burden on everyone, but the 990s are a great way to tell your story. And I would encourage at the last nonprofit think tank, Donna from Live Well and I did a presentation on how you can use your 990s to tell your story. We do review them, we do look at them. So I would just encourage everyone to really read, depending on what type of 990 that you complete, is to really be thoughtful on completing those. Okay, go back one or go forward one more. Ruth? Yep.
This one?
Yep. And so the organizational readiness is things that we've been talking about for some time. We've done a lot of trainings here at the foundation. We know that we have partnered with other organizations that have done these types of training. There are some basic things that we need the organizations to be ready for. Donna and I also did a county-wide presentation at the chamber about organizational readiness to talk about some of these things to get you to move forward. We want you to be successful. If you have questions on this, please feel free to reach out. We have examples. We have, there's a ton of information on the internet, so there's a variety of different things. Your organization should have these in place already. But we're not asking you to upload them all at
No,
once.
no,
Please don't, because we're not going to read all of them all at once.
no.
But if you are funded, we may ask to see those. Okay. Because we want you to be successful. As we look at expanding our funding opportunities, it could be more money for your organization. There could be some incentives around this. We want you to be a stronger organization for it. Okay, Ruth.
Right. And currently on the application, there's just a question, a yes or no question you'll see concerning these documents. You don't have to upload these documents into the application. So just a quick review of our timeline and process our applications open April 27th through close June 8th. They'll be evaluated June, July, and then the notification of funding is in August. The applications are reviewed to see if minimum requirements are met. And then we assign evaluators to the applications to review, and they review them and they assign scores based on our rubric. Then the grant committee meets to discuss and vote and make recommendations to the board who confirm the vote or request more information. So I just wanted to let you know what that process is for these applications. And we do have, so there are just, it's more than just, it's not just me and Laura. We actually have an entire committee that reviews these applications. So I'm going to go through the portal because I think most people on here have done it, but accessing our portal, you can go on our website, click on apply for grant. From our drop-down menu, go to just under timeline, go to apply for grant. Um, and then that will bring you to our apply page. And this brings you to our portal page. So if you've already applied, if you have an account, please do not create a new account. Just say there's a forgot your password, or you can contact Monica if you're having any issues logging in to your account. But if you do not have one, or if you're new to your organization, and even though your organization has applied before, but you do not have an account, you can create an account. And all sections with an asterisk must be completed to move on to the next section. And also please note that you're going to be asked to provide the contact information of your CEO and your ED for your organization. So just to have that available for yourself.
Ruth,
Yes.
one comment on that, and I want to stress it for this past year. I cannot tell you how many people did not realize who had access to their account. So think of this as a tool for your organization as you onboard and offboard employees or volunteers. Think about who has access to these accounts because quite often, and I think one organization was in jeopardy because they didn't know who had the access to this account and they never reviewed the award letter. They actually were almost going to get the grant canceled because they didn't do what they needed to do. This mechanism, this portal is our main portal for communicating back out to grantees and applicants. It documents everything for us. It houses everything in there. It's a great system. I think if you've been to any of the nonprofit think tanks, you've heard me talk about it. It is a very robust system. Look at who has access to information in there. If you need to change it for some reason, please reach out sooner than later. Just do it as part of your due diligence. Every couple of months, go through and look at who has access to it. So thank
So those of you who are familiar with the system, there's a new dashboard look. And I'm just going to reiterate what Laura said to review your organization's information, especially your mailing address. I know that sounds silly, but believe me, you don't want your award check going somewhere else, and it has happened, which is why I bring it up here. Um, then you can click on apply at the top there to see available grants. And then on your homepage there, apply, you will see eligibility quiz. You will click on the eligibility quiz, and there are about six questions, and most of this is pretty simple, you know. And this is my sample for our Friends of South Lake. If I don't know if any of you know that, it's a water safety grant that we also have. So I'm just using that as our sample here. So my organization of Hummingbird Haven is going to apply. So we have to complete this eligibility quiz, similar questions about demographics, nonprofit status, EIN number, etc. Once you complete the quiz, you will get this, you'll be directed to this page where your eligibility has been submitted. You can continue. However, if you get a different message that says you're at this time, you're not eligible for this grant, and you think there was a mistake, or you realize you've made a mistake where you answered yes instead of no, or no instead of yes, whatever the case may be, or you don't understand why, maybe some whatever error or whatever you think that could be, if there's an error or you think there was an error, just please contact me and I can review that with you, and then we can reset that for you, and will be able to apply for the grant.
Question.
Go ahead.
If someone, say if we're trying to do a grant with another nonprofit, but they don't have their 3 years in, and they're, listed and everything, but they don't have 3 years. Does that make a difference if we're trying to collaborate with them?
so Otis, I thought you were on vacation, so why are you calling us from a cruise ship? Just saying that. There's dedication there. So you can have partnerships. It depends on only one organization is going to get the check. So if think about it that way, and we've done this in the past, are they using you as a fiscal sponsor or is it truly a partnership? And those are kind of conversations that we can walk through. If you're a partner, so if again, my Larry's House of Claws partners with, because they have 10 years of nonprofit experience, programmatic and financial data. They partner with Otis's Dog House, and they've only been in business for a year. I, as Larry's House of Claws, are going to apply for the grant. I can have a partnership with you, and you guys can work out how you're going to do it. But Larry's House of Claws, me, is going to be ultimately responsible for that grant. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, that was I was kind of confused too. Like if we did a partnership grant, does the grant go, do the grant split between the two, or so that this clears up a lot of.
So think about it. Who is going to be, I'm going to put my executive director hat on for the nonprofit. Think about it. Who has the strongest case for it? It's going to be the organization that has a reputation, that has the eligibility requirements. They've been in the community, they've got the programmatic data, they've got the financial data, they've got the reporting mechanisms. I am going to be that strong organization. Now, if you have said in your application you are partnering with them, and in your budget you say that you're going to pay them, $5,000 for this service, that is up to you. Okay. You know your program, you've explained it. This is how you're doing your budget. It's all transparent. Now, if you told us, hey, I am going to do everything, and then you end up outsourcing it because of a partnership, that just becomes a little unclear. Now, I'm not saying that it's not acceptable, but it's not transparent, and we're going to have a conversation about that. Any other questions?
No, thank you,
Okay.
Otis.
And I'm just going to encourage on the screen that Ruth is showing you, take a look at it. Right now, it has a lot of scholarship stuff in there, but go on in there and take a look. There's different things that are open and available. Obviously, the Friends of South Lake is closed right now, but if there's something smaller or of interest, you can always take a look at it. It doesn't always have to be our impact funding.
Right. So this, for example, this is not an impact grant. This is our one of our smaller grants, the Friends of South Lake Water Safety Grant. So on your homepage, you'll click to see more info on that specific grant. And then this, you'll get a little pop-up that shows you what the award range is, the area of focus, and below you'll see the eligibility requirements for that particular grant. Um, and then on the apply page at the top, you will see the grant once you've completed your eligibility quiz, and you can either preview the application before you start or go right to the application. Um, so either, you can do, I suggest that people preview the application just so you can see what all the information is. Is this something you want to see? Or you can just click on, go straight to it. But previewing is a good way to get the information as well.
And I would encourage you to also do that because it's not always just you as the executive director or the development director who is doing the grant. You may need to engage other people in your organization to help you complete that. And if you don't know their schedules and you can't get them the information or access to the system, then it puts you in a very difficult position. Typically, what I have done in my past life as a program person is to kind of preview the document, see who needs to complete what, come together, figure out who's going to fill out the forms and put it together.
And
You
I'll
don't,
actually talk about that. There's a
okay,
collaboration.
sorry.
You can talk about. Um, so the first thing you're going to see is this little statement about candid profile. Some of this, some of this application will be pre-populated. If you have a candid profile, the information will populate into this application. So what I'm asking is make sure that even though that the that information is up to date. So you don't want your old address populating if you've never updated your candidate profiles. Once you come, so once you also would be able to print a PDF of your application by clicking on the question list at the top. And that's if you want to have a hard copy of it. And what Laura was talking about was collaborating on the application. What this new feature they have in this started last year is um, on your application page, you can click on requests on the request tab and then click on collaboration and you can invite someone to collaborate on this with you. And so they'll need to have an account and anyone, so you can add the email address and then you choose. The nice thing about this is you can choose the permission level. So you can just have someone view the application or you can give them editing privileges or they can submit. You send the message with any specific instructions and then click invite, and this goes out to them, sends them the link where they can create their own account. I will say that editing is great and viewing is great, but please just have one person delegated as the person that will submit the application. So there's no confusion. One person's not accidentally submitting or they think you're done and you weren't done with it. You were still editing. So just one person will submit. Anybody else can edit this application. And that's really nice, but when you don't have, hey, please fill out or I need this data and send it off to them.
Oh,
And then, go ahead. Did you have a
so
question?
yeah, yes, I have a question. So do both parties need to have an account when you're doing collaboration?
If you want to do collaboration online, yes, they do have to have an account. If you just want to print up the application and hand it to somebody, no, they don't. They just hand you the information. If you want to have them actually go into the application, fill out the sections that you need them to fill out, then they would need an account and you can give them edit privileges. Or if
Okay,
you just want them to see it, if you have filled it out and you just say, "Hey, can you take a look at that?" but you don't want them to edit anything, then just give them view privileges and they can just see what you've completed without changing anything. So
okay,
that'll be up to you to decide what you want to do with that.
okay, that sounds good.
And then saving or submitting the application, you can save this as many times as you need to. You can go back to it as many times as you want and change and edit whatever you want in there until you finally click that submit application. And I know this is going to sound like, why is she saying this? But please, please remember to submit the application. You know, that has happened where someone did not submit the application. They thought they had, but they didn't. It was completely filled out. So please make sure you submit your application. So just some quick take. I'm still going to talk about the actual application, but some other issue, some little quick takeaways here. Please focus on your community impact, not just on outputs, as Laura mentioned. So on the XYZ. So give examples, like have participants improve life circumstances, such as new job or not needing food services, or what, you know, those are examples. And share the information about your organization. Sometimes, our organization has been around for quite a while, but maybe not all of the evaluators who are looking at it know your nonprofit, your programs, or the need. So make sure that this is a great way for you to share that information and answer questions thoroughly, concisely. I give a lot of character allowance, but don't feel the need to, to use all the, you don't need to write 10,000 words. And also, finally, ensure that your nonprofit organization is in compliance. So if you are still pending some reports that you haven't submitted. You've gotten some reminders, but you still haven't done it yet. This is the time to make sure to go in and check that. Anyone not in compliance will not be eligible for this grant. So you have to make sure that you have submitted all of the reports that you had to submit if you were previously awarded a grant.
Ruth, are you going to talk about the use of publicly available data? Or can I?
Sure, go ahead.
So one thing that I'm going to stress is when you're talking about impact and writing good goals, a story, the program, make sure you integrate data that supports that this is a need within the community. I cannot stress that enough because we've gotten lovely proposals, but it doesn't really tell us about the need that you're fulfilling. Okay, if there is, I'm going to go back to my three-legged cat example, is I may perceive it as a need within the community, but as a whole, it may not be truly a need. There may be only 5 cats in the community that have 3 legs that need my services. But if I were to paint the picture of, nationally and then locally here within South Lake, how many cats are in need of this service? Think about it that way. There is a ton of publicly available data. I think most people know by now, I love data, and it tells a really good story for you. If you're not familiar of different sources of data, feel free to reach out. You can always, shoot me an email. I can help you find some, but there is some great data that would build your case even beyond just our funding. There could be different programs out there. If you're telling me a story, I know that people have gotten emails from me saying, hey, I've seen this grant opportunity. Why don't you apply for it? You can make us an advocate for your organization by telling that story. Thank you, Ruth.
Absolutely.
Quick question.
Mhm.
So okay, we have impact grant from last year, and we have where you have to do the reporting and you have a deadline.
Right.
We should wait till the deadline to do the last report, or can we do that? Because now we're going to be trying to apply for a second impact grant, but the other one, we hadn't done the last report. Do we wait till the
Well, I
time?
think you're no, well, I think are you talking about the final report, Otis?
Yes, yes.
No, no, the final report, your final report is not due until October, so you're good. So
Okay,
yeah, don't worry about that. You're good. But there were interim reports where you your organization handed that in. But if there's an interim report that you didn't hand in for that, or there's a final report from more than a year ago that you're still pending,
okay,
that would be an issue. You're fine.
okay.
So, um, and so just to talk about that on the organization history tab, you will see like, so my Hummingbird Haven, my little nonprofit, pretend nonprofit here has won, has gotten some awards. And on the right-hand side here, you would see if you had any follow-ups that were overdue. We don't have any follow-ups that are overdue. You can see what applications you submitted, which were closed, anything you didn't complete. Um, and you can click on your homepage, you'll see the action needed, no action, and completed. So for instance, this impact grant application has 3 documents attached to it. If I click on that, I can see what those 3 documents are. One is the application, the grant agreement, and the interim report. And on the left side here, I can see that I have a final grant report due, and it's due in October. So right now, my organization, Hummingbird Haven, is good. And grant agreement, as I said, I would talk about this only to just point out quickly, once you get the award, you'll receive the grant agreement. You'll have about a week to complete it. And you have to it's a little bit more than just clicking. So you'll have to click to either you'll accept the terms, then you will complete the form, and then you will have your CEO or ED or you will sign it and then upload all the pages of this signed agreement back into the system. And I know that's a little bit, um, you know, it seems a little bit like overkill, but that's something that we need from the organizations. Um, and also we require you to, at this time, also to upload your logo and remember to click submit the follow-up for your grant agreement. I've had people complete everything, upload the pages, and then forget to click submit. And then I'm asking them, oh, did you not want that? Are you declining the award? And only to have them realize that they just never clicked submit. So just to make sure that you do that. We require an interim and a final report. So the interim report will be pre-populated with most of the information already. Um, and if any of the gray areas you see here are not filled in, then please let me know. Um, and what I'm going to be asking for is just a project status at this point. So we'll ask you, are you on track with your timeline? We're not on track to meet the goals. We are on track to meet goal. We are not currently on track with our timeline, but we've made adjustments. We are currently on track to meet our goals. We're not currently on track to meet our goals, but have made adjustments to meet them. Or we are not on track with our timeline. So whatever it is, please, you will make the choice that best reflects your project status at the time, and this is returned to us 6 months after. And then we ask you some optional questions. What challenges have you encountered? And if you're letting me know that you're not on track to meet your timeline or your some goals, then please let me know, what the challenges are, um, and how you address them. Are there any outcomes, other data or comments you'd like to provide about it? And then also we ask that you provide any feedback about the actual grant process. And this past year, we did receive some very good feedback, and the feedback that we get really helps us to redesign our application. We have kind of streamlined this application. I don't know if any of you remember that. So, I want it to be user friendly, and we want to ask for relevant data from you. In the interim report, other than those questions, we will ask you to upload or provide links to publicity. So, if you are uploading any photos or publicity or or links to your newsletter where you promote this, um, the award that you received, and that is part of the grant agreement. So you would be asked at the interim report to provide any links or to upload any publicity photos at that time.
Question.
Yes.
So when you're doing the reports, like uploading, so are you talking about like if you do Facebook posts or I mean, can you go into a little bit more detail there?
Sure, sure. Uploading. So if you put it on Facebook, just, you can just give me the link to it. You're on Facebook. If you have a newsletter that you that you print, you can just scan it and upload it, or anything else you can there's a place in the report where you will be able to put in the link to your website if it's on your website. So something simple like that. Or if you took photos of something and you want to upload those photos, you can do that as well. And there's a little button where you'll see that you can provide the upload, or if
So
there's just a link.
let me just kind of put a couple comments in there so people understand the intent behind this. If you're doing Facebook posts, what I would almost, you can put in your link to your Facebook page in there. That's fine. What I would encourage is we do have someone that monitors our Facebook is to even tag us or let us know because we'll share it out as well. So think about that whole kind of social marketing aspect of it. Then also when it comes to pictures, we're going to start setting up some guidelines regarding pictures because we use them to promote the organizations. Many of you have been in our building. We've kind of redone a lot of things and we have these collages of pictures for different organizations. However, there are certain kind of minimums that we need, and if you've alter them, it becomes difficult for us to use them. So we'll have a guideline around that. But the more pictures that you can show for your project, then we have more options to use in our social media and our marketing. But please make sure you get consent signed and maintain those.
Right. And the consent, there's a blurb in the agreement about getting consent from the individuals in the photos. And final report, very similar to the interim report, with a lot of information being pre-populated. We will ask you to have if there were any deviations from the budget, this is where you would let us know. Um, if you haven't already, let us know. And we ask total people served. How did the project impact the community? And what specific outcomes or results were achieved? And success stories. Success stories are really a great way of sharing your organization, sharing your program, and for us, as Laura said, to really promote your organization, we like to have these success stories. We also then ask you some optional things about challenges, and were there any collaborations formed because of this project? And what plans do you have for sustaining the project after the grant period ends? And then any other outcomes or data that you would like to provide. And also, at this point, we will ask you to upload an accounting of the grant funds. So just let us know how you spent your money. Just a little blurb I added in here about the WGA award ceremony. Any awardees are invited to attend the WGA award ceremony in September. They like to celebrate you too. They want to also use the photos of you receiving the award, and they will put that on their social media and they want to celebrate you as well. And as promised, we are launching a new pilot program, a multi-year impact grant. So what is that? So the initial commitment is to fund you for 2 years with a potential extension for a third year based on performance and alignment. It can be programmatic, capacity building, or general operating support. The evaluation is very similar to what we have now, but you will do an annual reporting. Interim check-ins will be simpler. There will be a site visit and then a final evaluation at the end of the 2-year grant cycle. And the optional third year is contingent on demonstrated progress, your organizational stability, the final evaluation, and then, of course, continued alignment with foundation priorities. So this potentially could be a grant. It would be a grant for 2 years and potentially for 3 years. And this is the first year we're launching this. It's kind of new to us, kind of new to you from us. And so it's a pilot program, and we are hoping to award one organization this year with this multi-year grant. Any questions about this?
So the multi-year grant, say like, is it the same as like an impact grant, but you just do it
Yes,
instead
it's the
of?
impact, it's the same thing. So the impact grant, but it will give you, so we will still, it's part of the impact grant and it'll be awarded for 2 years and potentially 3 years. So if you get this award you'll get the award rather than just getting it for 1 year, you would get it for 2 years and potentially for 3 years.
So,
Okay.
so if you apply for a grant, let's just say for $25,000 for a new reading program, and it meets all the qualifications. It's recommended for a multi-year grant. It is designed to give you the flexibility and the ability to really have more of an impact versus not having to reapply and go through that whole process. So you would get 25 in the first year and 25 the second year. It's not taking the 25 and splitting it. So it's a commitment that you could actually then budget on, and hopefully you would be able to use that to leverage additional funders. It is something new for the foundation. We've debated about it. We really want to make sure that the organizations in the community are investing and not just looking to us, but really setting themselves up for success to other organizations and kind of giving you that a little ability to breathe and say, oh my God, I don't want to have to do this grant application again, you know, and to give you that freedom. But then you become a partner. And I think Ruth is going to really talk about this, but what we would then want you to do, so if your area is in agriculture, I'm just making this up, in agriculture, what we would want you to do is potentially even do a presentation to other organizations that are working in agriculture or even other funders here at the foundation to really share what you've learned, what successes, what challenges, and things like that have been.
Right. And ideally with the site visit, ideally what we'd like to do is to bring to come and it's not going to be we don't I've worked in the nonprofit world. I don't want to add to anybody's plate any more than they're doing, all these different jobs. But a site visit would be great to bring potential funders to visit your site so they can learn about your organization. And as I said, we have other funds in in our foundation that could potentially also fund your organization. So that's the hope that with a site visit, maybe we bring some potential funders to see it, and to really be help you to do some little bit, it's not so like better long-term planning for you. So, this year that this year, next year you're going to have this money, and then next year you're going to have the same amount of money, and that will help you to do some better planning, and then potentially a third year with the same amount of money. And it's just one application this year for the impact grant. And so that frees you up, like Laura said, and maybe there's other grants that you can explore next year. And rather than applying for us, you can, apply for those grants as well. So because, everybody has, the time limits and resources and all of that. But we really want this to be something to help the nonprofits with their planning and their outreach to other potential funders. Any
And
other?
with that said, if you don't do what you said you were going to do within the first year, that does not mean that you automatically get the second year of funding. That's my little caveat to that. You have to do what you said you were going to do. So,
So, and along with that, you're doing like intern, like if you did like a 2 year, you're going to be doing the reports in between anyway, so you can measure
Well,
it.
yep.
right. So you'll do like the first 6 months, we'll still do a check-in with you. It's not necessarily a report. It could just be a quick question. How are you on track to meet your goals? Yes, no. Same as the interim report, but shorter. It's not going to be as long with as many questions. And then at the annual report, then you'll let me know, hey, you know, then you'll tell us if you've met all of your goals for the year. At that point, we would also do a potential site visit with you, and then you would receive your funding for the second year. And then at the end of this, and then 6 months after that, we'd do another quick check-in with you, and then a final Then you would give us a final report at that time, and then we would use that to make a decision for a third year. And there are questions in the impact grant application specifically for this multi-year. And so there's additional questions that you'll answer. And you remember, you'd also have to provide not just a 1 year budget, but at least a 2 year budget for your program, if you want to be considered for this grant.
So I also know making a multi-year budget is a little bit more challenging. Remember, a budget is not always set in stone. It's used to guide you along. So
Right.
you do the best you can. Obviously, we know if organizations are not used to doing a multi-year budget, we can have those conversations again throughout the year. It's a partnership for us.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes. Um, so right now we're actually on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean. Is there and we're having a lot of fun. Um, do we get a chance to get the slides from this?
Yes, the
Okay.
slides will be there will be a recording on the website, and so you'll be able to see the video, but of all the of the same of this what we just talked about. It'll be
Oh,
on our website.
and how long do it stay on the site?
So
I'll leave it up until like
last year's was
September,
up there
October.
for a year.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the recording has been up there for a year for
Yeah,
the pre.
it'll be up there for quite a while, so just so you can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect.
Had you been paying attention for the first part of the call, you would have known that, but you were too busy on your cruise. So I'm just saying, just pay attention.
Well, it's kind of hard with all the ships along the way and everything else that you have to look at. So
I
no, I've been
am
paying attention.
I am amazed you're on this call from your cruise ship. So,
Yes.
you know.
Everything,
Look at
very nice. Hi, Sandra. Um,
Hi. So yes, I'm glad I'm glad you I'm honored that you taking time to be on this with from your cruise ship. So
yes.
this, and as we said, this is a pilot program, so we're learning as well as you are. And so if someone is awarded this grant, this impact grant, the multi-year impact grant, you know, this will be also learning for us, like, and so you will hear from us. We're going to be really partners on this, because we want to learn about it in order to, continue the program. We'd love to continue the program and to give it to more than one organization, moving forward. But this year we are just, we're testing this. It's a pilot program, and we are going to be offering it to one organization. I just want to remind you that the grants open April 27th. They close June 8th. No exceptions. I know sometimes I will like ask people to turn in reports. Sometimes they're running late or they can't do it, and I'll extend dates, but I cannot extend any dates for the actual application. Closes June 8th. No exceptions. Just so you know, there are no exceptions. And then we also have the small grant, which opens August 1st through the 16th, much shorter application. The grant award is up to $5,000. If your impact grant requests, the impact grant request really ideally should be at least $10,000. And I say that because it's a much longer application. I've had people apply for $2,500 in funding, which really that is better suited for the small grant. It's a shorter application, and it's a smaller ask from you. If you're asking for $2,500, the small grant is really the grant you should apply for, and that one opens August 1st. I'm gonna be there's some videos, and I'll put these. Actually, I've decided I'm gonna put these on our login page so you can see them. It's a video about creating an account, and also a really short little video about collaboration. just note that we are not using the LOI step mentioned in that in the video that shows you about applying. Also, do not contact the Foundant Software Company with any questions. Just reach out to me. And our website, most of you know our website, but that'll also, you can just search up Community Foundation. Um, and those are just some little housekeeping notes I have for you. Any further questions?
Well, I think I'm good over here. I think that was very helpful, and I think this extended program for the grant will really be helpful because it's amazing how fast time goes before you
Yes.
realize that you didn't get this done or that done. But the other thing I did have a question on. So we do a lot of posting, like when we're doing our event during the summer with the boys. Are you saying like when we do that, should we be tagging you guys on everything we do?
It's optional, Otis. I do think that it helps if you tag us, then we can push it out as well. I think actually Monica who and Amanda who manage our our social media, they're probably following you, but if you tag us, then we can always get it out to you. But you don't have to upload every single post.
No, no, you don't have to upload. That's only done once in your
Yeah, but
interim
you can tag
report.
us if you know, Otis, if you choose not to, that's fine. Obviously, with the programs that specifically that we funded, we would appreciate it
Yeah.
because again, it helps us with our marketing as well because then it gets out the word what we are funding in the community. We are not just sitting back here, you know, living high on our small endowment. We are trying to raise funds as well with our donors, things like that. We have donor advice funds. We have other funders, other donors that are looking to fund projects as well. And if they follow us, we can get you in front of other people as well. Think of us as a conduit for funding and additional items. One thing that we can do, like there's an example of there was a need regarding, you know, pet food for some organizations. We put it out there on social media. It was great. We were able to help them in some in-kind ways. And there's just different things that we can do. Think of us as a partner. I can't stress that enough. That's what we're here to do.
Absolutely. We want to connect you to funding and we want to connect you to funders. So, um, we want to be, so yeah, it's great if you tag us and also, you know,
I
be on
did
our
want
nonprofit directory, that's also good. So just, it's just
and if you don't,
whatever elevates your exposure.
I will tell you right now, if you do not provide us the information for your profile for the nonprofit directory, chances are you will not be funded. That's all I'm going to say is our board is looking at that as well. If we don't have your information, I know that I've said this for the past probably 4 nonprofit think tanks, and we only had 25 finish them, and there's over 600 nonprofits in this area. Complete it, work with Ruth on it, get it out there because we're going live. We can actually, it becomes a tool for our donors to contribute directly to you.
Yep. And if
So
anybody wants that link, just or you want to be in our nonprofit directory, just send me a quick email and I will send you the information.
before we leave, I want to make a big push. I know that the nonprofit think tank that this has come up many times, but there is the second annual nonprofit showcase. And thank you, Otis and Sandra, for helping out with that. Stewart told me that there's still a couple spots available for nonprofits. They're really working hard to get you in front of some different, more affluent donors in Bella Collina. If you are interested, please reach out to Otis. or Sandra or myself, and we'll get you connected.
And if you think of anything else after this session, just reach out to Laura or to Ruth. Um, and we'd be happy to answer any questions. So please reach out to us. That's what we're here for. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for joining and for your questions. And we're here for you. If you have any questions along the way while you're completing the application, that's what I'm here for. Please reach out. Um, and I will do my best to help you. So
Okay,
thank
I
you.
have one last question,
Oh,
if you don't
sure.
mind. So when the application to put on for you guys, I think that was a couple years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I want to make sure that is it a place on the website you can go to make sure all the information is in, and or you can go up and update it. Like, um, I didn't see.
You mean like your information, your
Yeah,
organizational
well,
information?
information for like for the what Laura was just talking about
The nonprofit directory?
directory. Yes,
Yeah, sure. Otis, I'll send you the information.
yeah.
I'll
I'm
send
sure.
you.
I think I done it, but I just want to make sure everything is up
Yeah,
to
I'll
date.
double check. You might have. I'll just double check. And if not, I'll send you the link for
Okay.
that.
So I do have to say, I think part of it, we are going to have the link directly on our website. One of the reasons that we held off on it is because we only had 25. It is active. We just need to tie it back into our website. So,
Yeah.
and I
Okay.
mean, it's a sneaky way to get to it, but not that I'm going to tell you to do that. But, um, you know, a lot of it is we need you as organizations to help, you know, so.
So, I have a question. So to get on that, we just, excuse me, my name is Mark Bishop from the Laos Brothers Sports Foundation. To get into that directly, just send a link to both of you or just to Ruth.
Just send an
Just send
email
me an
to.
email and I'll send you the information and how,
Okay.
um,
Okay.
yeah, and how to, there's there's a form that you would complete, and then I would just take all that your information and enter it into our system. And so, or if you're already in our system, I would update it with that information. There's some specific information they request that's requested. And so I can send you that form. You fill it out. I will add that information in. Um, and then you'll be ready to go.
Okay. And the name of it is a directory link. Is that how I address it in the
Yeah,
email?
it'll just be yes, it is the nonprofit directory.
Okay, nonprofit directory. Okay.
Yeah, just send me an email at ruth at
That's the
cfslc.org.
okay. Nonprofit directory link. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Well, thank you for your time. And again, please reach out if you need any help. Thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Thank you, everyone.
You're
Thank
welcome. Have a
you.
great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.